Hello and welcome to a video this week where instead of playing music we're going to see how I upgraded my old electric guitar with a new pickup set that I picked up off of Amazon. I'll put the link in the description if you're interested in a similar kind of product. So first of all, we have to take off the plate or the cover plate and the pickguard, which is actually one big unit on these Strat copies, and really just all of the pickups are all screwed into it, so be very careful to take out just the screws that hold that down and not the actual pickup screws themselves. And here you can see, as you lift up, there are two pieces of wire that we're interested in particular. One of them is going obviously to the jack, and the other one is a grounding wire, which you can see on the back of the guitar here, which is soldered to ground on the spring set behind the guitar for the whammy bar. So I've just cut that quickly for now. Now I've pulled that ground wire out, we now need to look after the jack. Here we can see quite easily to just unsolder the two wires that go to that. Try to remember which way round they are, because there's a signal and a ground. You want to keep the ground to the same place, which will actually be not to the tip of the jack, which is the spring you can see on the jack socket, but to the ground of it, which is the shield or the long part of the actual jack on the male side. So it's always a good idea when you've taken a guitar apart that much to give it maybe just a quick clean. Got everything ready for the new set of pickups. So here it is, very similar to the old one, slightly different colour. This is cream rather than white, and it's got a diagonal humbucker, Fender Strat style, rather than the double humbucker that I had previously. So there's two little pieces of wire on this particular model that I need to thread through to the space for the jack, and I also need to line up the other piece of red wire. I don't know why they've put ground as red on this, but it clearly is ground because it goes to the ground. That needs to go in the little hole. Place the little board on top. There we go. Nice fit. Lucky that, really, because they're not quite exactly the same dimensions, but close enough. I didn't have to cut any extra holes, for example. So now I need to solder on the wires to the new jack. I actually got this the wrong way around, but I fixed it quick enough. When I plugged it in, you could tell straight away there's too much noise. They did work, the guitar, but it was very buzzy. So tin the ends of the wires first with a bit of solder, makes them so much easier to solder, and it's what you should do anyway. So push them through, bend down the end of the wire. There's little holes on this jack socket, and then make sure everything gets up to the same temperature. That's really the trick in soldering, is everything should reach the same temperature as the solder starts to flow and melt. And so there we go, the two wires are on there, and we just simply need to screw the jack socket back down. The holes on this particular pickup set and the pick guard don't line up with the holes on the previous one. The shape is pretty much right, but the holes for the screws were different. So I'm just using a screwdriver here to mark on the wood underneath. You can see the marks I've made. And then this is a drill bit that I've used. I could have actually pre-drilled these properly, but I didn't have a small enough drill anyway. But actually this drill's got a pointy end anyway, it's a wood drill. So I just found that that was enough to get the holes started. So I went through and did each one of the holes, and then I was able to just force the screws in a little bit to start off with, push them down. They sort of self-tapping anyway. There's a protective film on there as well that I just noticed, so removing that quickly, we could then be ready to screw down the rest of the screws. And that's more or less it for this side of the guitar. We've got all the screws nice and tight, and everything looks well aligned and quite happy. So that's most of the work done. I've got the ground wire still to do on the back, but while the back's open, before I finish that, might as well put some nice new strings on. I've had to take the strings off to do it anyway. You're not going to put old strings back on. And this guitar's had strings on it that probably haven't been changed for a couple of years. I haven't used it much. It's just been waiting for this project to do, really. So rapidly speeded up guitar string, and plenty other places on YouTube where you can find out how to string a guitar properly. Let me know in the comments if I'm doing this wrong. So let's just turn it over. Now this red wire we need to solder that back on where the other ground wire was. So another quick soldering job, tinning first and unsoldering the old piece of wire that was there before, and then adding the new wire on so that the ground is touching as much of the metal of the guitar as possible. Now this particular guitar has a back plate, and there's 6 holes on there which allegedly you can thread strings through if you're restringing the guitar. I've always found it near impossible for that to work out properly, so I usually have to take it off even when I'm unstringing. There you have it. That's what it looked like before, and there's the finished job. So let's hear it. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to keep up.